Welcome back to the Crochet Credits. So, my friends at yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today is the Gingham and Flowers Crochet Baby Blanket. We did a poll on YouTube and this was number 1 out of the 4, and we're going to be covering this particular process today to make this gingham style, and it's going to be actually not a hard pattern, and once you get moving on it you can put the diagram away and just enjoy it. Just keep it off to the side. So it's not something that you have to terribly be looking at every set of instructions to do. Now this video has video chapters, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with the flower first, and then I'm going to break this into pieces then as far as like going through the instructions and be able to tell you how to change it. You can see a little schematic of it as well, and on page number 3 you can see a full diagram of the sample as well. But once you understand this, it actually is really quite awesome, and you'll need an 8mm size L crochet hook to play, and this is using Bernat Baby Blanket yarn, and I'm going to be having some fun. So without further ado, let's start off with the flower, and you can use the video chapters to scroll ahead if you wish. Welcome to my channel, and I'm here to inspire you, give you crochet advice, and help you along with your next project. If you enjoyed this pattern, please give me a thumbs up or even comment so I can gauge your interest. It helps me to know what to film next. So on page number 2 is the crochet diagram for this. What we're going to do is we're going to circle off, and we're going to make ourselves into a circle, and then we're going to be applying the petals. You can see the direction of the arrows that the designer has provided to us, and you can sew this to the actual project itself, and that's something that you can decide. When you go to sew something like this, I would not go too deep, and I'll probably do a demonstration of that for you as well. So without further ado, let's head right into this petal, and you have to make 5 of them if you wish, and that's something that you can decide, and if you want to leave it off you can too. It's up to you. It's your creativity at the end of the day. As you're getting started, I would create an extra long tail right at the very beginning, so you can use this to sew this down into the blanket if you wish. The center of this will be the same color, so you can use that and use that as a stability item that you want to do. So that's up to you. You can decide. So let's create a slip knot, and we're going to begin by chaining a total count of 4. So let's do that. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Once you have the 4 in there, you want to go to the very starting one here, and you want to apply 15 double crochets into there. So it's going to be a large circle, and let's begin. So let's just count those out. So we're going to do 1 double crochet, so we need a total of 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We keep going in the same one. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and just keep pushing them in. So 11, 12, 13, 14, certainly a lot in there, right? And 15. So somebody may ask, can you use a magic circle? You can, but make sure it is secure. So with the chain 3 that you had, that you skipped over, plus the 15, you should have a total count of 16. So let's count those out together. So, or just do it on your own samples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Once you're happy with that, you just need to slip stitch to the top of the first one, to the first chain 3 there that you had, and that's the end of the story. So I'm going to show you how to weave in the ends, and that'll be applying for anything going on in this tutorial today. Once you're ready to weave in your ends, just use your scissors and cut just the length that you just need to secure it. So just pull through, and it will lock onto itself. This yarn likes to lock. Turn it to the back side of this, and all you're just going to do then is just put it through a tapestry needle. It's thick yarn, so you'll need a larger eye of the needle, and then just carry it through some of the fiber that you have. And the trick would be then to make sure that it's going in and out of the yarn work about 3 times in different paths, and this will be sewn to the actual project itself, so it doesn't have to necessarily be perfect. So that was number 2, and then we'll put it back on for number 3. So 3 times is the best. If you want to do 4th, that's up to you. And then simply that'll get stuck underneath. You're good to go, and we're now ready for the next round, which will be the final round of making these flowers. So let's begin making the petals. There's a total of 16 double crochets, so with the 15 plus the chain 3 that you had, that gives you number 16, and so you're gonna have 16 petals in this thing. So let's start off by creating a slip knot with the yarn color that you chose. If you see the sparkle here, I have a Bernat Baby Blanket Sparkle. So if you're new to crochet, the 2 loops equal a stitch. The loop that is closest to you is considered the front loop, and the loop that is away from you is the back loop. So you just have to divide it. So if you just put your hook down in the stitch itself, it naturally divides the 2 strands. So just choose the back loop, so it's gonna be away from you, and join it. So just put it on there and tighten things up. You now want to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Once you have your 7, you're going to go second chain from the hook. So just count back. So this is 1 and this is 2. Get the back hump of the chain, it'll look better, and you want a single crochet. You're gonna do this for every petal. Now the next 3 back loops that you have is each going to be a double crochet. So we'll count those out together. So we have 1, 2, and 3. This yarn is very soft, by the way, if you've never used it. So once you have those 3 in there, we're now going to then single crochet the last 2 that you have left on that chain. So single crochet into each. Okay. Now what are we gonna do next? To go to the next petal, so I would put this around so that it's gonna get stuck underneath. So you'll go to the next double crochet that's available to you, just go into the back loop only, and slip stitch in order to have it join. Then you're going to chain your 7 again. So I'll show you again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So second chain from the hook, you're gonna single crochet, and then the next 3 are going to be a double crochet each. So we'll count those out together. So we have 1, 2, and 3 is going in now, and then the last 2 that you'll have is that you'll have a single crochet in each. You just got to get used to this if you're not familiar with using this yarn. Now you'll see that the bottom here is turned backwards, so I gotta make sure that when I go in, I still have the last one to do yet. So I got a single crochet. So when I go in, I gotta make sure that the bottom one here is turned to the right side facing me. So I'll slip stitch into the next one and continue that. So each one of these double crochets are gonna get these, and at the end what you can do is just wet it, like dampen it up, and then let it just dry flat, and then these will be more settled out for you if that's the case. So go all the way around and I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, so I've gone all the way around. I've just come back down and I'm just going to slip stitch into the same one where I started, and that's where I'm gonna end my journey. So when I go to fasten this off, I wanna make sure I cut enough yarn so I can get it back through a tapestry needle. And what I want to do is that I want to be able to weave in. So I've already taken care of the first one. I got it out of my way early, and this one here, just got to make sure that we get it in. So you want to weave it into the spot where it's going to be most hidden. So in this case I want to hide it into the yellow. So the more you can go in and out, the better. So I'm gonna go through once and back down And finally, third time is a charm. So if you would like to flatten out your feather or your flower, then just dampen it up a little bit and just kind of like shape it with your hand and let it dry, and it'll be good to go, and that's what you want to do. So you're gonna have a total of 15 petals. It's very generous and it looks awesome, and we're gonna move on in the pattern now to the actual blanket itself. So I'm now back here to the pattern. So let's talk about this particular concept. I really like how Yarnspirations did this particular gingham. Now one of the reasons why I really liked it is that the starting chain continues to be the same color, and it's being hidden within the border that they've applied. See this white here? They've hidden it so that at least that the first chain is actually a solid color. There are other gingham patterns out there where you literally have to change color in the starting chain, and what a pain that is. So I like that they have one solid chain to work with, and then we build on top of that later, and so it gets hidden behind there. So that's one thing that's really awesome. If you like to change the size of this particular blanket, the multiples are in 7. So each one of these squares are made up of 7 single crochets when we are going across. So we have 7, 7, 7, 7. So the multiple to change the size is 7 plus 1. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so if you want to do that, you will also notice that the border is also in multiples of 7, so you can keep an eye on that in order to make that really quite awesome too. So that's something that you can keep in mind, and let's go to the information that is in the graph. The best way to talk about this is to talk about the yarn balls itself. Now in this particular example of gingham, we're not doing tapestry concept. Tapestry means that you're carrying the yarn underneath the stitch work, so when it's not in play it's being hidden by the other one. But sometimes that kind of idea gets really convoluted, or you can actually see it if the blanket gets stretched, which is not something that I particularly enjoy. So each one of these squares, when you see the color, is actually the color itself, and when we go and do 7, we then change to the next color and let the yarn ball just hold. So when we do this first concept, you need 1, 2, 3, and 4 different strands in order to do this concept with those particular colors. In the other color right here, you need 1 and 2, and then the green you just need 1, and then the blue. So you'll notice that the ball, when it was in the instructions, it said that you only need 1 ball of this, 1 ball of that. That means that you're going to have to divide up your yarn in order to have like mini balls in order for you to have it. I do not know how much yardage you're going to need in order to do that. What I do recommend for myself is that if you do have spare yarn balls, what I would do is just grab a yarn ball for that, a yarn ball for this, and etc. And you can also change the colors if it doesn't work out for you as well. These are just the ideas, but the way that they've designed this is that it actually looks like it's gingham. It's really quite awesome. So you just got to keep that in mind. I'm going to show you a sample of just doing just 3 squares, because the concept of changing the yarn is really all you just need to pay attention to. And then after you get so many rows done, then you end all the yarn colors, and then you restart another section just building on top of it, so that it's all still a one-piece unit, but it's all about color play at the end of the day. So this is how it's going to work, and once you understand this concept, I think that you can just kind of keep it off to the side, but you don't have to literally be counting each one, because once you see how this is done, it's going to be awesome. So what I'm going to demonstrate for you now is showing you 3 different colors of the boxes and also the starting chain, and I'll also show you how to do the border as well. So let's begin our starting chain. Here's the thing about the starting chain. It's in multiples of 7 plus 1. That plus 1 at the very end of the chain has to be a different color than what you're using. So all the multiples of 7, so 7, 7, 7, are going to be one color, and the final pull through of that plus 1 at the end has to be the first color of the first block that you're going to be working through. So let's begin. So you can either chain a 63, okay, and that's a multiple of 7, and then when you finally get to the other end, we'll talk about that. So if you want to customize the size, you can just chain in multiples of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Is it big enough? Yes or no? If not, add more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Big enough? Yes or no? I'm going to go one more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now I have my multiples of 7. So as you start across, the next chain that I'm about to do is just part of the starting chain will be the first color that you want. If this coloring doesn't work for you, just get some graph paper and just get your pencil crayons or crayons out or whatever, and you know, make up your own path as you go. You are the artist at the end of the day, but Yarn Inspirations is helping us to be able to visualize the concept in order to make this happen. So what we want to do is that we want to go back to the chain, finish the chain with the first color, and that's what we're gonna do next. But I told you it's multiples of 7 plus 1, and in the pattern this will be 63, but we have to add one more chain in, and what we need to do is that we need to grab one other color that you have going on. I would recommend keeping it just a loop. Don't put a slip knot on there, and just keep a loop and pull through the final with the new color, and this will be the first color of my block. Okay, so what I want to do at this particular moment is that I want to start working my way across this, and it's gonna be still in multiples of 7. So we have to deal with these yarn tails now, and so what I would recommend to you is that you want to cut the beginning chain one just relatively shorter if it's a little longer. So you gotta cut it so that it's releasing from the ball, and you're going to be bearing that at the same time when you do the first row. So let's begin row number 1. Now for those that follow me on a regular basis, you know that I like using the back hump of a chain because it looks nicer. In Bernat Blanket you cannot do that. If you do that in Bernat Blanket, it creates a really big gap. So when you are working with your chain work, you always want to make sure that there's 2 strands on top of your hook and not just one. Starting second chain from the hook, what we need to do is 7 stitches of this color, but the very final stitch has to be changed over to the next box color that we'll have. So we'll talk about that. So let's go second chain from the hook. So this is 1 and this is 2, and we're gonna go into that. I recommend that you put the 2 stragglers, these are the loose ends, that's what I call them, and you put those down on top of the line and crochet right up over top of them, and they'll both get stuck at the same time. So this is number 1. You're then going to the next stitch, and also going into that stitch, take those 2 and bury it. So this is 2, and continue to do the same thing until you get to 7. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is 7. Do not finish number 7. These 2 stragglers I want you to cut now because you've been burying them underneath the stitch work, so cut those out, and now you just have the strand that is left that you've been working with just a few seconds ago. Before you continue to finish the 7th stitch, you need to make sure that this yarn tail is now in front, and if you want to use your thumb just to kind of hold it in front, because it needs to be in the proper position for when you turn this blanket around. The other thing that you're going to need to do is get your next ball up, and I'm recommending just create a loop. So just, okay, not a knot, just a loop. And I want you to finish the 7th one with this new color. In crochet, this loop that we're playing with right at this moment is the top of the next stitch. So I want you to visualize that you're painting a house and that you want the house to be completely yellow. If you don't change the hook now, what's going to or change the yarn now, your house will be a different color on the walls versus the roof, and you want your stitch, the walls and the roof, to be the same color so it matches. So make sure that this yarn strand, the blue one, is out of the way and in front, and put the straggler of the yellow down on top of the line so you can go and start progressing and doing the next 7 of that color. And on the 7th one we're going to change again. So we're just gonna say 1, 2, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is the 7th. But I do not want you to finish the 7th one. I want you, this yarn that we've been bearing, I want you to get rid of it, cut it and get it out of the way. So before you move on, this strand that you've been playing with from the yarn ball, I want you to place it in the front here so that it's out of the way and it's on the front. And it'll make sense in a few moments once we get to the other side. And I want you to take the new yarn and it's just looped, there's no knot, and I want you just to pull through and then continue for the next 7, burying in the loose end as you go. And you're just gonna do the same format going all the way across. You have a total of 9 boxes all together going all the way across. So you'll have 9 different yarn strands that you'll be playing with in order to create this concept. And when you get to the other side, that's where I'm gonna pick you up in just a few moments and I will show you what to do next. So just put me on pause and get yourself all the way to the other side and I'll be right back in a moment. Once you're all the way to the other side, I want you just to finish your last stitch and you will have a total of 7 of those single crochets. So because it's the very edge, you don't have to change your yarn. So those will not be affected in any way, but because I've been burying in that straggler, we can do that. So you don't have to worry about putting this in the front like you have been with the rest of it. But when you look down the row, let me just zoom you out a little bit. When you look down the row, each one of these yarn strands that you've been playing with should be coming out of the front of the project before you do the turn. Do you see that? The other thing I want you to do, see this straggler that you've been this is your starting. I would highly recommend that you take this through a tapestry needle right now and get it out of your face and just weave it into the same coloring that is in the back. So you just gotta choose a different path, and when we do the border of this of the edging, for example, we're going to use the same color, so we're gonna be able to trap that in much better. But I want you to get it out of the way because you know your mind is gonna be blowing away with all these different yarn strands as it is. So why complicate it for yourself, right? So get that out of your way, weave it back and forth a total of 3 times and it should be good and secure. So we're going to move on to row number 2 in just a moment and we're gonna continue our journey, but I'll show you how we're gonna turn. To avoid really big tangles, you wanna, if you keep turning always in the same direction like a continuous steering wheel, you're going to have these all spinning around each other and tangling. So you'll wanna get used to when you turn it the first time that you go in one direction, and when you do the next row you come back in the other direction to keep these from tangling. So I'm going to turn this way and you're going to notice one thing. You're going to notice that when I turned, all the yarn tails are now on the back side. That's exactly where they need to be, and that's why we left them in behind. So we're now going to begin row number 2. So row number 2, we're going to chain up 1 and we're gonna match color to color. So if it's purple, then you're gonna keep it the same color. So let me just bring you in a little bit closer. So we're gonna do 1. You can count it, but you can just count, if you've already counted, the color matches each other, so you don't need to count. It's gonna be a 7 because you've already counted if you're sure, right? So I want you to do that, and when you get to the end of that color, you know that you have to change over. So the top of the house of this stitch here is going to make a difference. So you're going to notice that you'll see a little bit of a bleed through of the color as it's connecting. That is normal. So when you come in here, what you want to do is you want to come into your last stitch and you want to pull through, and what you're going to do is you're going to move this strand to the front of your project like you had before, and the other strand is here in the back. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to pick it up and pull through to finish that, because that's the rooftop of the next house. So you're going to do the next 7 of this color. So we have 1, 2. You don't really need to count. It's just follow the color pattern if you've done it right. The trick is leaving this color on the front side. It gets really complicated if you leave it behind. Okay, and once this 7 is done, move this strand to the front of the project and then grab your other one. See, that's coming from behind, and you're gonna pull it through and finish that, and you're gonna do this same format or formation going all the way across. until you get to the very end, and I'm gonna be getting to the end in just a moment, and then we're gonna talk about turning. And we have to be strategy with the turn, because we don't want those strands to be getting caught on each other. And you come right to the end. So when you're ready to turn, look at the direction of how this is playing out, and if I keep turning in the same direction all the time, it's gonna just continually spin out of control. So when you turn, you wanna make sure that there's gonna be no tangles that are going to be provided to the work. And now let's begin the next row. So beginning number 3, there is a total of 8 8 rows per color. So we now have 2 rows of using this in this color, so we're gonna go to all the way to number 8 before we're gonna switch off and change out the coloring. So to start row number 3, you're gonna chain up 1, and you're just gonna single crochet in each of the colors to match it. So now that we got more in our hands, it becomes a lot quicker and a lot easier to play with. So just carrying on. And so when the color runs out, you know that you gotta change. So this is the last blue, and I have to move that strand in front, and I'm gonna have to pick up the color that is waiting in behind. In this case it's yellow, and I'm gonna finish that with the yellow, making sure that this blue is in front, and then continuing across. So you got, and I'm not even counting, but it's a total of 7, so that doesn't change. Because I'm working on the studio table, things can tangle really easily because I don't have a lot of space. So when I'm at home, I have the balls a lot further apart from each other. So when I get here, I move the strand in front, and then I pick up the other strand, and I finish it, and then I do that. So I'm gonna do this all the way across for row number 3. When I get all the way across, I wanna rotate this so that it doesn't tangle, and then begin the next row. So what I want you to do is that I want you to have a total of 8 rows done with this particular color, and then we're gonna meet back here, and I'm gonna show you how to change out your colors in order to change the gingham look. And so please do this concept until you get 8 rows done, and then I'll be right back in a moment. What I would do, because if your yarn balls are tangling, the nice thing about this particular pattern is that all colors are then ended. So it just makes it a lot easier to work with. So what you can do is that as you're passing then in doing your 8th one, this means that this color that I'm working on will actually finish. Okay? So what I would do, if you weren't watching me, when I get to my 8th one and then I go to transfer it, I can literally cut this yarn now because I know it's done. And that will help you if you have any kind of massive tangles going on, and it can avoid a lot of frustration. I would still leave that yarn in front though, and just pick up the next color and then continue along, do your 7 of that color. And it allows you to have a good mental reset, because sometimes the colors can really tangle and it can drive you nuts. Okay, so do this. I'm gonna leave it in front. See these 2 colors kind of are fighting with each other. So I'm gonna pull through, and I can literally cut this yellow now. Just cut it long enough that you can deal with that later, and then you can release the tangle immediately from that. And then finish it like this. So this is the 8th row. So every 8th rows the colors will change out, and this is a great concept. And when you start the next row, you can change the colors to match the graph. Okay, so you're gonna go right to the end, and this is where you're gonna end that color too. So the 8th, everything is done, and you have everything good to go. And so what I would recommend to you then on the last one here, just pull it through and lock it. And what we can do with these here, we can take it through a tapestry needle or we can bury it. So let's turn to work, and we're going to then realign the colors to whatever you feel like you want to do, and that's something that you can decide for yourself. So when you're ready to take a look at your graph and you decide what colors that you want to do, you're gonna do a fresh restart. When you're ready, you're gonna decide the colors that you would like to do. I would recommend putting the stragglers down on top of the line and starting the first one. This is just a loop, it's not a slip knot. And just pull through, and then you're going to begin the new section here. So you can just pull through and just chain 1 and single crochet into the first one. keeping things nice and tight. Go right up over the stragglers like you were at the very beginning of this whole project. The more you can bury, the better off you are. And you're doing the first 7 of course with this. So if you want to end the gingham, you can just go across with the solid color. It's up to you. You are the artist at the end of the day. But on the 7th one, when you see the color is going to change, you know that you're going to have to make a decision. So the yarns that I covered over top of, before I cut them, I want to pull. See how this blue is kind of hanging out the back side? It means that I'm a little loose. So if I pull it, see? And then I want to pull that one as well, and then I can safely cut those down. And then I want to grab a new color, so I'll just grab this blue just because it's in front of me. And I just want to create a loop. And before I do that, this one has to come in front. Don't forget to do that. And I want to pull that color through, and then I want to do the next 7 with that new blue, and I want to go right up over top of the straggler. So I don't need to count if I'm confident that the colors below are the right count, because you could just look for those and then make the decision. Now I did make this straggler pretty long, so you may not want to waste that much yarn. You can decide what works for you. And then I'm just gonna grab another color and we'll do that 3rd box. Pull it through. And what have I not done? I've not pulled this to the front side. Make sure you do that. It'll make your life rough if you don't. So starting in the next color, just use that, go right up over top of your stragglers, and then you can go over all across, and at the end of this then you'll have all these tails hanging, or these from the yarn ball, all on the front side, and then you begin the next set of 8 rows, which is this one plus 7 more, and then you'll have this coloring as your option, and then you can end the coloring when you're happy with it, and then change it as many times or as little as you wish. It's up to you. You can also do full stripes, just going up the whole afghan like this as well. So it's a neat concept, and you're gonna turn your work and keep an eye on your strands so that they don't get tangled, and then everything is good to go. Okay, just like that. So these strands here, you also have to deal with these. So these are the originals. So I would recommend you put those in a tapestry needle. If we were to bury those in, it might have been obvious, but I would recommend to you just put them through a tapestry needle and just drag it underneath the stitch work. The more times that you can tangle itself into the plies, the better. And don't just go once across, I would go twice, at least twice, even 3 times. Because this is fluffy yarn, you can easily get away with doing that. So I'm just carrying it up inside the project. And when I pull on it, I don't want to change the shape of anything. So just take care of any loose ends that you have. I would do it as you go, and therefore you won't have all those hanging out at the end of the project. Do you see what just happened there? I pulled it through the exact same path. So I gotta make sure it catches onto itself. So you can always gotta do it a slightly different path in order for it to catch. So do that with any loose ends that you have, and I'll be right back in a moment. So this is how you basically create this, and what you see the attachment, that's how it looks. So that's pretty good, and what's gonna happen is that you'll work your way all through it, the whole blanket, and then you'll have it all laid out, and then the top and the bottom will have the edging, and I will show you how to do that next. So I'm gonna just do this so that the side has 8 rows of this coloring, and then I'll be back in just a moment. So just do what you already know and continue along with your gingham. So I'm coming up again, and I've just did the next set of boxes, and so because this is the last row before switching out colors, in my case this is gonna be the end of my blanket, just as an example here in tutorial format. As you come across and you know that the color is going to be switched out, then I would just simply just cut my yarn, get rid of it, and therefore you can release yourself of any tangles if you have any, and then continuing along in your journey. So just continue to go all the way across, and if you're building on top it, just build it like I just showed you, and everything should be good to go. And I'm gonna move on to the edging next. So I'm gonna finish this up here, and we're going to move on to the side edging, and this is going to be end. So I want you to weave in any ends that you have. I've already shown you how to do it, so I'm gonna just ask you to do that. And you want to have your ends all woven in, and what we're going to do then is move along in this tutorial to doing the actual edging itself. So we have to position this, and we're going to be working on the right side, and in this case when I finished off number 8 I have to turn it over and I want to begin here on the right side, and I'm gonna do this. What I'm about to show you here is just the same on the other side, but we're gonna be using the same color so that this will get buried in so you won't even see it. So let's start the edging, and so on the other side of the blanket then you're just gonna have a nice stitch work to play with. On this one here you have that beginning chain, and as I mentioned it was easier for you to use that color as a solid to go across. So when you go to join it you're going to join the new color, okay, chain 1 and single crochet in and pull things nice and tight, and you're working along the base of that chain. Okay, there is, remember everything's in sets of 7, so if that helps you to know that, because the scalloping is gonna be in sets of 7 as well. And you see as I'm doing this you can see that that coloring is no longer standing out. It looks like it's part of it. Okay, so go across all the way with the color, and I'll see you back here on the other side in a moment. So once you come all the way across you're just going to turn your work and do the next row, which is row number 2. So just turn and chain 1 and do 1 single crochet all the way back across. So this is the second row of the edging, and I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, and coming up all the way across just single crocheting over, and you're gonna turn your work, and now we're going to begin the final row, which is row number 3, and we're gonna create the scalloping. So right where we're sitting we want to do a slip stitch, so we're not going to chain 1, so we're just gonna go into the first stitch and just slip and slip. So just pull through. You're then going to skip a total of 2 stitches, so 1 and 2, and go to the third. It's roughly in the middle of the box format, and you are going to apply 7 double crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and then you were going to skip a total of 2 stitches, so one's partially buried underneath all of this. And so the trick is that right where they come together, the one before the transition, okay, so you're skipping 2, you're going to slip stitch into there to hold it down, and then you come into the next stitch, slip stitch, and then begin that again. And so this particular box section will have the same thing. So skipping 2, you come roughly to the third one, so you will come to the third one. You're roughly in the middle of that next box format, and put in your 7 double crochets. And you're just gonna do that all the way across. It's that simple. And then once that scallops in, if you're not sure, the one's kind of partially hidden, so 1, 2, come to the third, and if you look at where the box changes that gives you an indication. So slip stitch into that one, and then slip into the next, and then begin all over again. So skipping 2 and go to the third, put 7 double crochets. So once you're at the end of this, then you're going to then finish it off, and then you're going to do this on the other side. When you finish this one here, you're currently on the right side of the project, so when you turn it around and start on the right side, you want to start on the same side of this facing up, if that helps you to know that. So once you have your 7 in here, you're just gonna come to your very last stitch, so skipping 2, come to your very last stitch and slip stitch, and then that's the end of the journey. So then to do the other side, what I would recommend to you is, this is the right side as I promised. So I would just flip this upside down like so, and you know that this is the right side by doing so. You start another new section, and then you start here. This is the side without the starting. So then it's just going to work out really quite nicely. Bury any loose ends that you have, so just join, chain 1, and go right up over top of any stragglers that you run into, and then continue along. So you're just gonna do exactly what I just showed you, but for this side, and therefore you can have the fun. And let's cover on how to attach those flowers, because we still have that left. So if you want to add those flowers strategically where it's suggesting in the pattern, it's up to you, but remember you left on this long piece as I showed you. So you want to use that as you're sewing down, and before you turn it over and put it down onto the project, move this. So just take the yarn needle and just glide up underneath the same color. So I'm on the back of the flower, and so therefore that yarn color then will be on the outside of this ring as we go around. The trick to this, when we go to add it in, we do not want to go through all the way through the project because this purple doesn't match anything that is there. So what you want to do is like a surface go down. So when you go down, you want to just grab some fibers. Okay, don't let the needle go all the way through because then you'll see it. So if you turn it over and see that needle, you know that you're too deep. So you want to go through and you're going to secure that down. Okay, and you're just gonna pull. So when you go back into this, you're gonna just grab another portion of that circle. I would go through there first and then just roughly grab more surface. So you're just gonna have to be patient with it, and then you can come back up if you wish. But you don't ever want to go through the whole project because then this purple is gonna be on the back coming through. Okay, that's just some fibers. See what I'm saying? So you're just grabbing it from a surface perspective. You're going to go all the way around on this particular one, and when you get to the end, just seal it off, and I would tie a knot and then just weave in your ends just like I had been showing you. And this would be how you would attach your flower when you're ready to go. And if you don't want to add the flowers, you don't have to, but if the flower is not sitting flat enough for you, just dampen it up and just kind of, you can lie a tea towel on top of this and have these sit down even more, and therefore it's a really big flower on top of a really amazing gingham blanket. Hopefully this has been of help to you. I feel like I've been really scattered in this tutorial, so you can let me know in the comments how I did. It's kind of a hard concept to teach, so hopefully I did good today, but you never know, and have yourself an amazing afternoon. Bye bye.